Hey everyone, and welcome. As a marketer, you're constantly pushing content out into the world. But have you ever stopped to think about who or what else is listening? Today, we're diving into how AI is analyzing every single piece of content you publish and what it's learning about your company's deepest strategies.
And just so you know, all the insights we're covering today come directly from Chapter 3 of a fantastic tutorial by Virtualization Options LLC, which really hones in on this issue from a marketing and communications perspective.
So let's get right to it with the big question. What is your marketing really telling AI? You might think you're just publishing a simple blog post or case study, but what you're actually doing is handing a powerful AI another piece of a giant puzzle that reveals your entire organizational strategy.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to pull back the curtain on AI's marketing playbook. Then I'll show you exactly how to investigate what AI knows about your company. After that, we'll figure out how to decode the answers. And finally, we'll talk about how you can AI-proof your content moving forward. Okay, first up, AI's marketing playbook. Look, the real issue isn't that your content is public. Of course it is. That's the point. The problem is what AI can learn when it connects all those public dots.
Let's be clear. Every press release, every blog post, every campaign you've ever launched is almost certainly part of AI training data. That's a fact. So the real risk isn't just a single piece of content being out there, it's the strategic patterns the AI can see across your entire marketing history.
And this brings us to a really critical concept, pattern synthesis. This is what AI is amazing at. It doesn't just see one press release in isolation. Oh no, it sees a decade of them. And it connects the dots to figure out your strategic pivots, how your target audience has shifted over time, how you react to competitors, and maybe even things like your budget cycles. Just think about the contrast here for a second. You publish a case study to show off a customer win. What the AI learns is the precise profile of your ideal customer. You write a series of blog posts about a new topic. AI learns you're pivoting your entire strategy. It can even guess if a campaign was a success or a flop based on whether you suddenly stopped talking about it. So how in the world do you find out what AI knows? Well, it's time to become an investigator. In this section, I'm going to give you the tools you need to probe your own digital footprint. And here's the good news. You can absolutely do this yourself. You don't need some fancy, expensive tool. All you need is access to a commercial AI service and the right kinds of questions, or prompts, to turn it into your own personal diagnostic tool. Here are the 4 key areas you really need to dig into. Think of this as your investigation checklist. You'll want to test what AI has learned about your messaging, your campaign history, your customer and partner info, and of course, your competitive intelligence. For example, to test your positioning, you could ask a prompt just like this one. The answer might totally blow you away by revealing strategic shifts you never actually announced, but that the AI figured out just by tracking subtle word changes on your website over the years. To check up on your campaign history, try a prompt like this. You might be shocked at how well an AI can list out your major marketing pushes from the last 5 years. It's basically creating a public historical record of your team's priorities. Now, this one is a big one. By asking about your customers, you can see the incredibly detailed profile the AI has built from every single case study, logo, and testimonial you've ever put online. And you know who loves that information? Your competitors. It's a gold mine for them. And finally, to see what the AI thinks about your competitive standing, just ask it to compare you to a rival. The model will pull together every us versus them statement you've ever made in any blog post, white paper, or webinar and lay out your entire competitive positioning strategy. Okay, so you've run the tests and you've got the results back. Now what? Well, now it's time for the analysis. Let's decode what these answers really mean for your strategy. This is the single most important question you need to ask for every piece of information you find. Is this an intended part of your public message, or is it an unintended strategic disclosure? Being able to tell the difference is absolutely key. You know, exposure really comes in 4 main flavors. There's direct content, that's the stuff you meant to say. Then there's that pattern synthesis we talked about, what the AI inferred. You've also got metadata exposure, which is accidental details, like the software your team uses. And finally, you have competitive intelligence, the sum of it all, basically your playbook, handed right to your rivals. This table provides a fantastic way to think about risk. You can see that customer logos are pretty low risk, as long as you have approval. But getting into super specific competitive comparisons, or heaven forbid, pricing models, that's high-risk territory.
The key takeaway here is to use this kind of thinking to decide what can be public versus what needs to stay general or maybe go behind a registration wall. All right, we've identified the problem, we've analyzed the risks. Now, let's talk solutions. This is how you can make your content strategies smarter and a whole lot safer. It really comes down to 3 core best practices. First, create crystal clear guidelines on how much detail is okay for different types of content. Second, you have to add a specific AI exposure check to your review process. Always ask, what could a competitor learn from this? And third, be really strategic about gating your content. The super sensitive details can go behind a form, keeping them out of that public AI training data. I absolutely love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. It's all about a mindset shift. You can't just think about one blog post in a vacuum anymore. You have to train your team to think about aggregate exposure. What's the story that your last 50 blog posts tell when they're all read together? So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Take a really hard look at your marketing. Is your content just building your brand, or is it also unintentionally building your competitor's next strategy? The answer might just surprise you.